Spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above thy fruited plains, America. God done shed his grace on thee, and God crowned thy good, crowned it with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Can't you see God shed his grace on thee? God crowned thy good with brotherhood. He told me what? From sea, oh Lord, to shining sea. Yeah, America.
Good morning and happy 4th of July weekend. And I want to say right off the start, thank you, Tim Smith, for a beautiful version of America the Beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful moment, a beautiful minister. So what do we have today, Newsom Holmes?
Well, today I'm going to be speaking about what we can do in this time of racism and this time of the pandemic. And I got this little poem I want to read to you. It's by Kenan Farrar, and it goes like this. I am only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do. May we take these words to heart as we think about what is ours to do in this world where we need wisdom, love, and compassion.
And you know, Newsom, where we're seeing a lot of awareness is in our youth. That idea of if there's something to do, I may do it.
Yeah.
And today we have a video clip we would like to share with you about Black Lives Matter and how our youth are taking action.
I think you'll be impressed.
Welcome.
Hello there. Welcome to our Youth Monday video. My name is Gabriel Lopez. I'm a co-regional representative for the Southeast Youth of Unity, and I'm here to talk about my take on some current events that caused a major impact on the Black Lives Matter movement. As Sidney J. Harris once said, history repeats itself, but in such cunning disguise that we never detect the resemblance until the damage is done. To me, George Floyd's death symbolizes a modern-day crucifixion of Christ. He was unarmed, didn't resist arrest, didn't physically fight back. There were witnesses, and it has united people from all around the world who serve the purpose of co-creating change for the better. George Floyd was not the first person to suffer from fatal police brutality, and he might not be the last, just like Christ was not the first nor the last person to ever be crucified. Let us remember that when Jesus was on the cross, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And the act of forgiveness is impossible without the presence of gratitude. Though I certainly don't agree with their actions, I'm grateful for those policemen, because whether they realize it or not, they co-created a major spark in this revolution by bringing such injustice and corruption to light for the entire world to see. In times of conflict, I think it's important to stick to your beliefs and your principles in order to maintain balance and inner peace. I believe that through the law of attraction, we create the reality in our lives. The same principle applies to death. I'm not saying that George Floyd explicitly asked to be murdered, but what I'm saying is that at a metaphysical level, he and all of those who have suffered a death like his made a sacrifice to help raise awareness that our nation has lots of work to do. And their spirit lives on through those who choose to be their disciples. You have that choice too. The path to improvement is never a straight line. Oftentimes things actually get worse before they can get better. Think about most pregnancies. Within those 9 months, mothers experience morning sickness, backaches, swollen feet, and more. In moments before the baby is born, her pain reaches its peak. Before she can finally feel relief, the pain gets worse. The same principle can apply to us in some way, shape, or form. Trust that things will get better. If we can all paint that picture in our head, we'll all be one step closer to attracting the manifestation of our desire for change, peace, justice, and equality. Black Lives Matter.
Hello everybody, I'm Lauren Garcia. I am the youth leader at Unity Church of the Triangle, and today I was asked to kind of give my 2 cents on what is going on with the Black Lives Matter movements and the impact that George Floyd's death has left in the world and in the United States. At least for me at the beginning when I heard of his death, along with Ahmaud Arbery's and Breonna Taylor's and other people, other African Americans who have been victims of a hate crime and racism in our country, I felt very angry and disgusted and frustrated that this is something that is still happening. It's so unfair, so unfair. It got to a point where hating and being angry wasn't getting me anywhere. So I remembered my unity principles, and that is to hold everybody in divine light and understand everybody. And it was really hard because it's so easy to hate, but you have to come from a place of understanding and seeing the divine light within everybody, which is something that Unity has taught me. Along with that, I wanted to feel like I was making an impact, and I have been educating myself on the Black community in our country currently and ever since the beginning of American history, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. Sign petitions, read articles, watch movies, and become educated. Be an ally to the Black community if you're a non-person of color. It's so important that we stand together. Unity, it's in the name. We all need to stand united. So I encourage all of you to be educated, have faith. This needs to happen in order for us to get to a greater good. And I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week.
Thank you, Gabe. And Lauren, you have given us something to think about, and also you have reminded us that the hope of the future is in our youth. So let's take this moment now to deepen into our own experience, and we will begin by chanting Namaste, and then we'll come back for meditation.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. All is beautiful, all is well, all is beautiful, all is well. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. All is beautiful, all is well, all is beautiful, all is well.
As we begin to meditate, let us adjust our bodies so that we can be comfortable, letting our spines be as comfortably erect as we can. And then let our breath be deeper. As we let our breath go deeper, keeping our attention on the breath, we give the mind an invitation to quiet and calm down, to be at one with all that is happening. So we take a deep breath and we let it go. We continue to breathe a little bit more deeply and a little bit slower, making sure that we exhale fully. So as we breathe, let us now bring our attention to our hearts. We want to connect with that which is in touch with the whole of everything. Let's be in touch with our own hearts so that we might be at one with all. Let us be sensitive to our hearts and feel them. Feel the breath in them. Feel the power of love within them. And see if we can also feel through our hearts the connection with all of humanity. That everyone that we have seen, everyone we have not seen, somehow is connected to us through this common energetic field that our heart can connect to. And as our heart connects, let us see if we can recognize that we all share something. Desire to be happy. Desire to be free. A desire to live our lives as fully as possible. Let us feel our own desire for happiness, for freedom, and for life itself. And then through connecting through our hearts, let us feel out into the world how everyone wants the same. So we have compassion on everyone. We're all in this together. Let us feel the oneness of humanity. Feel their joys, their triumphs, their failures, their sorrows, their sense of belonging and the sense of not belonging. Let us feel that. And to the whole world, let us send love. And so it is. Amen. Yesterday we celebrated the 4th of July. And the 4th of July began 244 years ago when the founding fathers of our country signed a Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence gave reasons why we wanted to be free. Chief among them were the 3 words, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words have been guiding words for this country since its beginning. Having fought the world's superpower in Britain, having won, we went about creating a constitution which enshrined those ideas, for the most part, in the laws that we would follow as a country. And we have followed those laws, and much has happened in this country because we have had a constitution and an ideal of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that has guided us for this long period. In so doing, we have done some great things. We have defended the world against the Nazis. We have sent people to the moon. We have advanced in education, in science. We have advanced in the understanding of our own nature to some degree, and we have come to this point in our history when we are to once again, as a nation, facing a crisis, actually 2. The first crisis, and the most obvious one that's been on the news the most, has been this coronavirus, which is a natural occurrence in which a virus has come across the whole world and caused sickness and death to some. This virus has asked us to be reunited as a country so that we might limit its effect on us. And to some degree, we have done that, although you can see the rifts within our own country by the way the virus has taken up speed once again and is infecting more people on a daily basis. This is actually seems like a political thing, but more to the point, it is about our souls. Can we as a people take other people's life and liberty as seriously as we take our own? And if we did, we would be doing those things that we should do to protect others. Apparently, wearing a mask has now become a political thing instead of a device for helping keep any infection we may have from spreading to someone else. It is a sad commentary on us as a nation that collectively we are not even sure if we can hold that thought, that I care enough about you to be slightly inconvenienced by a mask so that you may not get sick or die. The other pandemic we're having, and it's become quite obvious also, is a racial pandemic. This disease has been with our country since its founding. In Jamestown, 401 years ago, the first Africans were brought to this country to be slaves. The fabric of this country's history has been woven since then by the tragedy and the struggle of those descendants of that first crime against a group of people, that enslavement of peoples for the wealth of others. That has been with us ever since. And in some form or fashion, the African American population of America has struggled to find freedom. And that's what we talk about today when we think about the 4th of July. It is the day when we celebrate the freedoms of this country. If it were universally true that we were all free equally, if we had the free rights to pursue happiness, and if our life and liberties were more guaranteed more equally, then this pandemic of racism would have died out already. Unfortunately, it is here with us. I would like to speak to that for a few moments today. I think this country has come a ways in its expression of equality. This equality, we have extended the vote, at least nominally, we have extended the vote to everyone over 18, except for some felons in some states. And now we have a chance to take what has been hard-won gains and build on them. I think this coronavirus and the sequestering of each of us over this time period has given us a more sensitive being than we had before. I think not being able to do our normal routine has allowed us to be sensitive to the effect of what we see on TV in particular. And that, what we have seen on TV has been quite shocking. Although it shouldn't be that shocking. It's been going on for some time now. But as I said, since Jamestown, 401 years ago, there has been a suppression of a certain group of people. I think what's really been shocking to us is to hear a man actually say, "I cannot breathe," and then to watch him die on the screen in our own home, in the vulnerability of our own quiet spaces, and to feel that tragedy to some degree more poignantly than we have in a long time. And I think it has caused us to be sensitized to the history of the suppression of African Americans in this country. I grew up here in the South. Having grown up in the South, I saw it my whole life. And to some degree, I felt it. But in many ways, it was just the way it was. It was something I didn't think was right, but it didn't feel like a sense of urgency always to do something about it. I felt like I should be kinder to people of color because they've been through a struggle, but I did not feel their struggle myself. I think during this time period, that feeling state of the struggle of being African American in a country whose foundational words are, we believe these words to be true, that all men are created equal. All men are created equal, yet we did not treat all people equally. And so we come to this point now when we as a nation, if we wish to live up to our ideals, need to change. I think one of the things that has to happen to make that true is that we need to educate ourselves in the many ways that this country, we the people, have not responded to our highest ideals equally. I would invite all of us to spend some time, as Lauren said, in educating ourselves in the history of the African Americans. And while we're at it, we may want to explore what we've done with the Indians as well. But in this pandemic of racism, I think the focus, quite rightly, is the African American experience. And if we can bring our attention to the depth that we are touched and feel with empathy what has happened, I think the rest will follow naturally. I think we will act in such a way, and I don't know exactly all those ways are, we will act in such a way that we can help bring about a change in this country so that we might be as proud of this country as we say we are in our songs, in our rockets, in our sparklers. I think this is a blight on our country. I think we are forced to face that this year. And although it is quite uncomfortable and a bit depressing, and sometimes it creates anger and frustration, it is an opening for us. It is an opening for us to actually see all people as God's children and to cease to think that we deserve special privileges just because we are of a special group. I think this idea of deserving things to go well for us that I grew up in, where I expected people to treat me with consideration and respect, where I expected opportunity. This is something I think everyone should expect. Everyone should be able to grow up expecting to have a general level of safety in this country as well. And while that has not obviously been the truth, I think it is a time for us to step forward and make it so. So on this day, the day after the 4th of July, the day after the Declaration of Independence, the day after declaring that all men are created equal with certain unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, we still feel the echo of those words, I can't breathe. If we are ever to take a step forward, let us start now. So the first thing I think is to educate ourselves, to begin to develop a sense of history so profound that we know, we empathize, we relate with the struggles of our African American brothers and sisters. And having developed a sense of empathy, then I think it's incumbent upon us to act. And where we can, I think we should extend kindness. Where we can, we should extend friendship and camaraderie. And perhaps it is ours to stand and march, and perhaps it is ours to write our senators and ask for substantive legislation for police reform. Perhaps ours is to meditate on a daily basis and pray that the world changes. Perhaps ours is to unfold our own being with love so profoundly that wherever we go, we make hate and anger melt by our mere presence. I know it's a big job. It's a big thing to change the culture of America. It's a big thing to change our own internal culture. I've been reading a little bit of a book that we're going to be doing in the next few weeks called Big Magic. And in Big Magic, one of the stories she tells in there is that this woman and the author have the same idea at the same time. It's as though the idea was floating through the room and they both caught it at the same time. This is a common idea among some artists, that they actually are inspired. They don't know where it comes from, but it's an idea that comes. These are called, in New Thought, often called thought forms. Thought forms come into and out of our own minds, and sometimes we latch onto them, sometimes we just let them go. For creative people, when they find that inspiration, it's important for them to grab it. But it's also interesting to me what happened to me this week. I was sitting on my couch and I heard these thought forms, these racist, hateful thought forms come through my own mind, and I didn't hold on to them, but tried my best to let them go. But I went, where did that come from? I think we as a culture have thought these things so many times that they're just accumulated in this entity, this existence, this thing, this vibration, which I'm calling a thought form. And we are all susceptible to it. And so when it comes and you hear something that sounds so strong inside your own head, perhaps it's just a thought form passing through. If you can build a negative thought form, then you can build a positive one as well. You can build the positive thought form of love and compassion, and that we are all one with each other. And if we will dedicate ourselves, then I think our generation has the possibility of creating a new thought form, one that will eventually displace that old racist thought form. One that will say, all people are my brothers and sisters. I am created equal, and we all share the same desire for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This thought form that we wish to create can be created by our intention, our prayer, our energy, our emotion. That's what creates thought forms, that makes them bigger and stronger. It's the energy and the emotion along with your intent. And so you create this thought form for yourself. You retrain your own mind to think love and compassion, oneness and equality. That thought form one day will be stronger than the other thought form. Perhaps it's already stronger, but let's say it becomes so strong that the old thought form has no place to live. It is erased. It goes away. I think one of the things you'll see if you look in the course of history that somehow, for instance, this has worked before, has worked. This has actually worked. I think if you trace, one of the things I've been quite curious about has been the Vikings. The Vikings, 1,000 years ago, were the terrorists of Northern Europe. And they would go around in their long ships and they would come into your village. They would kill and maim, and they were just a mess. They were awful. They were infected with ideas from Christianity. They were converted to Christianity. And Christianity became a growing thought form within the Viking community, until to the point where we no longer call them Vikings. We call them Scandinavians. How sweet. They're one of the most successful groups in equality of women, of education, of healthcare, of prosperity. They live a different life now because they have developed a different thought form of who they are. That's what we're asked to do, I think, is to develop a different thought form, to no longer be susceptible to thoughts of inequality or of we and you, but largely this idea that we're in this together. It's certainly a much more Christian idea. It's certainly a more unity idea. So it should not be that foreign to us. And perhaps we are well along in our own personal development of this. But I think as the core believers in the possibility of thought affecting the world, if we will apply ourselves with intention, with passion, with energy to create a thought form that says, we shall treat all people equally, and we shall love and not hate, and we shall be friends with all. That this thought form can become the dominant thought form in this country. And this idea of separation and this idea of you versus me, my tribe versus your tribe, my politics versus yours, will change the whole thing. And so we will no longer be asking ourselves, should I wear a mask or should I not? What is my tribe doing? We will say, what will help us all? We'll no longer be saying the police can do what they wish. We will say, no, you're the police. You must act according to the law. You must act with equality to each. These changes that would come about because we as Americans have begun to live up to our creed and to become those people that the world has, longing to be free, wanted to be part of. Let us be true stewards of freedom. Let us step forward with courage, but with conviction. I'm reminded of what Franklin Delano Roosevelt said as we were moving into World War II. To some generations, much is given. From some generations, much is asked. This generation has I've forgotten the word, something with destiny, has a date with destiny. This is our calling, to be the generation of destiny. Let us be the ones who make the change, that push us over the edge to where we become a more equal and loving community, where we don't feel like we have to shout at each other to get your attention, and we don't have to be tribal in our politics, in our communities, in our communication with each other. Let us learn to love so strongly, so powerfully, that we influence the world around us, that we become a beacon, a place of love and kindness, a haven for other people. And if we can do that, we will create a world that we are happy with, a world that we would love to live in, a Scandinavian versus Viking world. Let this be our gift to the world, that we love so strongly that we changed it. And so it is.
Just one life, that's all that we've been given here. Just one chance to make a difference where we live. I'm just one man, I'm only human, but only human means I've got a lot to give. Love can move the world as the moon in the sky moves the sea. Love can cause the wars to cease. Love can move this world to peace. It's a tide that begins with you and me. Love can move the world as the warmth of the sun moves the tree. Feel the wind of love increase as we move this world to peace. Come love the world with me. Look around, there's someone hurting near you. Look around, there must be something you can do. Look within you, find your spirit. Change the world, there's got to be a change in you. Love can move the world as the moon in the sky moves the sea. Love can cause cause the wars to cease. Love can move this world to peace. It's a tide that begins with you and me. Love can move the world as the warmth of the sun moves the trees. Feel the wind of love increase as we move this world to peace. Come love the world with me. Love can move the world as the moon in the sky moves the sea. Love can cause the wars to cease. Love can move this world to peace. It's a tide that begins with you and me. Love can move the world as the warmth of the sun moves the street. Feel the wind of love increase as we move this world to peace. Come love the world with me. Come love the world with me.
While many of us may be riding the roller coaster of emotions during this time, we want you to know that the prayer chaplains are still available here to pray with you, just as if you were in the sanctuary on Sunday morning. So if you would like prayer, please call the prayer request line that is showing on the bottom of the screen. Or if you would like your name in the prayer box for the Sacred Prayer Circle to pray over every single week, go to the website under Prayer and Meditation and click on the link for the prayer request form. Now let us pray. We join together in this sacred, holy space of prayer to acknowledge and bless the multitude of freedoms in our lives. We honor all those before us who fought for the freedom we savor in our nation. But more importantly, we claim the source of our freedom is the divine. No matter the outer circumstances or appearances, or the actions of others, we are free to allow and accept God's wisdom and grace to express through us. As we release the bondage of limiting beliefs, judgments, and emotional blocks, we are liberated so we can live our lives from our open hearts. Through the creative power of infinite love and grace, we choose how to think, how to feel, and how to experience life. We hold this truth for every name in this prayer box and all of humanity. Yes, we are free in the Spirit, and we are only here for God. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Sterling Fulton, and I'm a member of the board at Unity of the Triangle. Thank you for spending your time with us this morning, and thank you so much for your generosity. Your generosity of your love offerings and gifts allows us to bring programming like this to you. And I want to thank you for that and encourage you to continue to do so, as well as to share this message with your friends and family. Now, please, in unison, join me to say the blessing of our gifts. In unison, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you.
I am sure you really enjoyed today's service. I certainly did, and I know you did, Neusom. It was really powerful just to be inspired by knowing that indeed there's something that can be done by us. So thank you very much. We'd like to let you know that our church is still very active in the outreach community, in doing outreach work. And if you visit unitytriangle.org, you're going to get more information about our Red Cross, thank you, blood drive that will take place here at the church Tuesday, July 14th from 10 to 2:30. You do need to sign up, but no worries, go into our website, you'll get all the information there. And as a way to let another announcement go, and I'm really also very excited about, we're starting a new series starting next Sunday called It's Magic. Where I am, I can change the world. Neusom, tell them more.
Well, we're taking some ideas from the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert and Charles Fillmore's True Lent, and also my favorite book on by Saint Germain, this whole idea about how we as minds and souls can affect the world even if we aren't in the world physically.
And we will also have our virtual choir will be with us next Sunday. So you're in for a new experience that we just put out with all this love for you.
So let's keep our hearts open this week, stay alert to what is ours to do, and come back here next week and see our friends through the lens. And so it is.
Amen. Namaste. Amen. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.